Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Forecast. Manchester City have won 2-0 away from home against Newcastle United, and I'm going to be going through my 5 key moments for this game. Starting off with Antoine Semenyo, who was absolutely outstanding and playing in a different position to where I think most people expect him to play, which is off the left. But Semenyo has proved at his time at Bournemouth he can be a versatile forward, and he was excellent today. Could have had 2 goals. He got the first goal in the game, and that sort of set City on their way in terms of winning this game. That forced Newcastle to come out and attack more because they felt like they needed to be at least level going into the second league. And overall, Semenyo was excellent for Manchester City. We also saw that Guardiola found a way to use Doku and Semenyo in the same side, which was one of the questions around the signing in terms of how will Antoine Semenyo fit him. But so far, Guardiola has thrown him right in, and he's been rewarded for doing this. And this is exactly what you want from a January signing. This is the impact that you want. So when that comes in and it immediately improves the side. And right now, that is what he was doing. And what I love about Semenyo is the work rate. Even in the last moments of the game, he was still creating chances. He was still going up and down. And he always supports the side defensively and going forward. I really like Semenyo as a player. My only question around the signing was how will he fit in the system? And so far, he's fit in really well. And I think he was unlucky not to have a second goal. For me, first of all, it's VAR has taken the piss with how long that took. It took about 4 minutes for them to decide should that goal be allowed. And at some point, I think with VAR, if you can't decide after a couple of minutes, just allow the goal or just go with the on-field decision. Because the problem with VAR is not everything is conclusive. A lot of it is up to the person's judgment. And that's what we saw today. Even when it was debating, was Haaland offside? It was Haaland interfering with the goal? In my opinion, he's not. Clearly, VAR disagreed. I think what they were better off doing in that situation was just allowing the goal and continuing on. Because there was no clear evidence. Because my other problem with VAR is I feel like there's a lack of understanding. Malik Chow at no point then was trying to block the shot. He was blocking off Haaland. So if Haaland's in an offside position, I don't see how Malik Chow is going to block that because most likely would have been just tracking Haaland, which was his objective in that moment. And I feel Semenyo was rightfully frustrated because it was a brilliant flick on and he showed his physicality, which he's going to add to that Manchester City side. The other problem with VAR or something like that is the momentum of the game can completely change. And I thought we saw this for a bit. Newcastle was starting to get on top. But luckily for Manchester City, Newcastle were poor in front of goal, which brings me on to my third point. Voltemade had a great chance for Newcastle, but he decided not to pull the trigger. He also had another big chance with his head, but it just missed him. As well as Johan Wissa had some massive chances in the first half, and he really should have put Newcastle 1-0 up. And he also had a big chance in the second half. That one was a bit more unlucky. It was actually a good header from him. It was just an excellent save from Trafford. Bruno G also had a chance when it came off the post. And if Newcastle can find the way to put the ball in the back of the net, especially those first couple of changes, it changes the momentum of the game. Because St James's gets louder, and how often do we see this sort of happen with these sort of sides where one goal brings two? And I think that could have definitely happened in this game because we see this happen with sides like Newcastle. But Newcastle couldn't find the back of the net, which brings me on to my fourth point. And I thought the Manchester City youth and the younger players and inexperienced players stepped up really well in today's game. Nico Riley playing in holding midfield. It was a very good performance from him. Once again showing the class of the player. Max Aline at left centre half I thought was brilliant for Manchester City today. Kushinov, he's a rather experienced now, but he's still a young player. And he had to be the leader in the partnership, and I thought he was good today as well. This for me was crucial why Manchester City managed to win today's game. I thought that's when Newcastle could get at City, that inexperience in the side, in a difficult cup tie away at a hostile atmosphere. So then my last thing I want to talk about is that the tie over? Because City put an absolute dagger into Newcastle's heart right at the end through Ryan Cherki. And that was actually another thing. It was brilliant substitutions by Pep Guardiola in today's game. Bring on Ian Nori and Cherki. And then they ended up combining to put City 2-0 up in this game. And honestly, I think that is probably the tie over. I think at 1-0 Newcastle may still have a chance in this game. I still felt that Newcastle needed a positive result, at least a draw and an absolute minimum to go through in this cup tie. But honestly, I can't see it anymore. I think City will definitely go through now at the Etihad. I think the only thing that could change this is if City decide to rest. I just think a 2-goal margin, though, is too big for Newcastle to overturn, especially considering their away form has been terrible so far this season. And look, they still definitely have a chance, just a very unlikely chance. I'll give them about a 10% chance. And they're probably going to have to play players like Elanga, Gordon, players that haven't stepped up so far this season, so they can hit Manchester City on the break, who will look to probably control possession in the game. So then we've got the player rating starting with Newcastle United. Pope, I'm going to give Pope a 7. I thought he was really good today in goal. Made a couple of good stops. Got in front of Haaland a couple of times to prevent him from having a shot. And overall, I thought he was good. He couldn't do anything about the goals. Then we've got Lewis Miley. It's difficult for him to be at right back. I thought he was rather disappointing today. I'm going to give him a 5. Then we've got Malik Chow. I thought Chow was one of Newcastle's better players today. I'm going to give him a 7. Botman, I thought Botman was solid as well. I'm going to give him a 6. And Lewis Hall, I thought he was Newcastle's best player by quite a distance today. I'm going to give him an 8.5. I thought he did nothing wrong in today's game. And he proved when he's fit, he's one of the top left backs in the league. Then we've got Bruno G. I'm going to give Bruno G a 7. I thought Bruno was good today. Unlucky to not to score as well, hitting the post. Joe Linton, I'm going to give Joe Linton a 6, as well as Ramsey. Just all right, but nothing special. Yohan Wissa down the middle. I'm going to give Wissa a 4. He was really poor today. His finishing cost Newcastle United. Jacob Murphy, I'm going to give Murphy a 6. And Gordon, I'm going to give Gordon a 6 as well. I thought he was decent. So then we've got the subs, and I thought they were disappointing for Newcastle today. Harvey Barnes, I'm going to give him a 5. He was average when he came on for Jacob Murphy because of his injury. Voltemada, I'm giving Voltemada a 4. I thought he was just as bad as Yohan Wissa. You could argue maybe he was unlucky not to score. It just missed his head from the Barnes cross. But overall, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't decisive enough. And he had a massive opportunity, but he decided not to shoot and not pull the trigger. And I think that cost Newcastle. I think if he shoots there, he's got a decent chance of scoring. And then finally, Elanga. I'm going to give Elanga a 5. He looked all right when he came on, but as usual with Anthony Elanga, he faded throughout once he came on and he wasn't good enough. Sandro Tonali, I'm going to give Tonali a 6. He was all right when he came on. And I think that sums up Newcastle. They were pretty average. There's a couple of good players in today's game, but you need to be better than average to win against this Manchester City side. For Eddie Howe, I'm going to give Howe a 5. I don't think you can give him much more for what the result was today. I still think Howe was right to push for that goal at the end, and Newcastle had some chances in the end, because I couldn't see Newcastle overturning a 1-0 deficit. I definitely can't see them overturning a 2-0 deficit. So I think they were right to have a go, because if it stays at 1-0, I would still definitely say huge advantage to City going to the Etihad, considering Newcastle's poor away form. So then we've got the Manchester City player rating, starting off with Trafford in goal, a crucial save against Yohan Wissa, and if he doesn't make the save, the game just completely swings. I'm going to give Trafford a 7. Matheus Nunes, I'm going to give a 7, as well as Kushinov and Maxiline. I thought those three were really good, and I thought Ake was as well. I'm going to give him a 7. That defence really stepped up today, and a very much a makeshift defence. So then we've got the midfield 3, starting off with Nico Riley, who filled in there. He's been at left back the whole season. He can play at midfield, but he still deserves massive credit for filling in and doing a good job. I'm going to give him a 7. Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden, I thought they could have been better today. Silva was probably better than Foden. I'm going to give Silva a 6.5 and Foden a 6. Antoine Semenyo, I'm going to give Semenyo an 8. Got the goal, should have had a second goal. I don't think that goal should have been disallowed, and I thought he was a constant threat throughout. And Jeremy Doku as well, I'm also going to give him an 8. Got the assist for the Semenyo goal, and the ball he played across was absolutely brilliant. Then we've got Haaland up front. I'm going to give Haaland a 6. More of the damage was done on the width today, not through Erling Haaland up front. That's something that Newcastle did do well today. I think they kept him rather quiet. So then we've got the players that came on for City. Rodri, I thought Rodri came on and did a good job. I'm going to give him a 7. Dejani Reinders should have probably had an assist. I thought he was good today. I'm going to give Reinders a 6.5. Rico Lewis as well, played well. I'm going to give him a 6. Cherki got the killing blow in this game. I'm going to give Cherki a 7. Then we've got Aït-Nouri. I'm going to give him a 7. Got the assist for the Cherki goal. Pep Guardiola, I'm going to give him an 8. I think there's lots of positives to take from this. Manchester City won 2-0 away at Newcastle, which is a difficult place to go. Newcastle being a strong side at home this season, as you would expect from them. He made some key substitutions at the right time, bringing on Aït-Nouri and Cherki, which gave City a 2-0 lead instead of a 1-0 lead going into the second leg. Let me know your thoughts on this game. Do you think Newcastle have a chance of coming back? And if you enjoyed this video, go subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as liking the video.